Okay,
Ready?
I think we're ready.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, we're live and we're recording, so that's what we need. Welcome. We're super excited that you're here. So welcome to Raising Healthy Families webinar. We're glad that you're here if you're watching it live or the recording or both, because you're like an overachiever. That's awesome. But we're excited that you're here. My name is Kelsey. This is Dr. Drew, and we own Revival Health Center in Clive. It's a chiropractic wellness center, and we love what we do. Getting to be a part of people's health and being proactive in their health is super important to us. And this topic in particular, raising healthy families, is an important topic, not only for us as a young family. We have a 3.5-year-old at home, and ironically, he came home from school last night and had an ear infection. And so it set us up even for today. Part of today is to explain to you that healthy kids doesn't mean that they're never going to be sick, right? It's to give you the tips and tricks that you need to support you in those times when the cold happens or the flu happens or, again, the ear infection. So that's part of today. But we truly believe this is an important topic for all young families and families in general, because we think there's a lot in your home and in your control that can truly set you up as far as lifestyle, like things that you can do as lifestyle that can set you up for what you want out of your health and kind of change the trajectory of your kids' health. And when we start to instill these types of principles and values into our kids at such a young age, that's when we're going to start to see generational health moving forward. And that's what I think all of us as parents would want for our kids, and for grandkids and so forth. So like I said, we're excited that you're here to learn with us. And again, if you're watching the recording, we're glad that you're taking the time to do this. So with that said, we do want to keep it relatively short. We're hoping about 30 minutes, but shorter, longer, I don't know, we'll see. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see. If you have any questions, you can always text us at our office line, which is 515-895-1400. And that is live or the recording. Text that number if you have any questions or any thoughts or anything coming out from this webinar. So things that we're going to cover. Each of these topics, honestly, we could spend 3 hours on each of these topics, but today is just like a conversation starter. It's kind of giving you the general overview or bird's eye view of what this lifestyle would look like for you and your family. And again, we want you to walk away having tangible takeaways that you can start to implement in your own home, that will make a big impact on your health. So we're going to go over our current state of health and just the numbers of that very briefly. We'll go over common children like chronic conditions that are attributed a lot to lifestyle. We're going to go through the 5 essentials approach, which is, again, a great foundation for a wellness lifestyle for no matter if you are single or have a huge family. Like, this is just something very simply that you can start to implement in your family. The chiropractic, he's a chiropractor. We own a chiropractic office, and most people think chiropractic is just neck and back pain. When in reality, it's about how well your body is functioning and healing at a high level, right? And so that's so important when you're talking about building an immune system and setting your kids up for success. And then nutrition tips, we'll go through just some basic nutrition as well as some swaps, and then some natural effective ways or things to have in your home that to have on hand that can help in those times of needs, like an ear infection. So we'll tell you what we did even last night when Isaiah had an ear infection. So with that said, how did we get here?
Yeah, so I mean, our passion comes from the fact that, like, when I was in my early 20s, when we were in our early 20s, I got diagnosed with cancer. It was really an awakening moment for us to figure out, like, okay, where are we at, and have to put our health first at a young age like that, right? And I think one of the things that we wanted to just develop as a family ourselves, and really one of our big passions behind our office in general, is how to help families understand, like, health in general, and not so much focused on, like, I think we focus so much on, like, if you don't have a symptom, then you must be healthy. And we kind of gone down that trajectory as a nation, almost, I would say. And in reality, it's more of like, how can I actually, like, experience life the most, live it to the fullest? And we look back now, and it was a blessing to be able to understand that at a young age. People laugh about that, like, oh, cancer is a scary thing, and it was scary. But in reality, now we can look back and say, hey, we learned a lot. I'm super grateful to be able to be here today with my wife and our son, and be able to just, like, live out our dream here at our office and be able to keep seeing that go forward, and just be present each day too. So with that all being said, is like, our purpose is to see people raise their level of health and not simply get stuck in that rut of, like, not feeling well, not sleeping well, And all of a sudden days go by, weeks go by, and it's like, whatever even happened to the fact that I was healthy? And that's what today's all about, starting at a young age and then building that forward for families then too.
Yeah, so with that said, as far as our own challenges and what we've like the path that we have taken over the last 10 years, ever since he was first diagnosed with cancer, we wanted to be honest about where we're coming from in regards to health and how we view and manage our own health and our family's health. So just a couple things, again, because we want to be honest about where we're coming from. So we believe, first and foremost, that it is not our birthright to be sick and suffering. We truly do believe that it is our birthright to be healthy, well, and whole. We believe every single person has a God-given purpose on this earth, and that his intention in creating us was not to be sick and suffering. It was to be vibrantly alive and to serve out that God-given purpose. And so we believe it's our birthright that we are healthy, well, and whole. With that, we believe that our bodies are incredibly designed, right? Like they're designed to be healthy and well. And when we remove interference, whether that interference is physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, when you really get down to the root cause, which is one of the things that we believe, when you remove that interference and give it the tools it needs to succeed, the body will do just that. It will be healthy and well because it's so incredibly designed. We believe many people don't actually know how great they should feel. Like people are so used to being sick and suffering that it became the normal, right? So many people are like, oh, don't worry, I have that too. Or, that's totally normal. When in reality, it's not. Like it's common, but it's not normal to feel, migraines or to have cancer and things like that. Like, again, it's common. It's not normal. We believe in finding the root cause and not just masking symptoms. And then to parlay off of that, like we want to make sure that people know how grateful we are and that we 100% believe there is a time and a place for modern medicine. We ourselves have gone through numerous times. They've helped us numerous times, and they are really good at acute emergency care, right? Like they are really good at that. And the what we see is more and more we're seeing chronic conditions that, again, a lot of times come back to lifestyle. And I think that's where we are falling short. And that's where we need to start picking up, what's the word I'm thinking of? We just need to get better in that avenue, in lifestyle choices and really getting back to our roots and the basics of how our body was designed to be healthy, right? So we do 100%. We are so grateful for modern medicine. It's just, again, they're great for acute emergency situations as we have experienced in our own lives. And then we believe that with that, we should, when it comes to certain conditions, we should explore nature or natural solutions before turning to synthetic measures, especially when it comes to those chronic lifestyle conditions. We believe in trusting the body, listening to the body, and exploring nature solutions before synthetic measures. And then lastly, we believe we do, you do, your entire families, we believe everyone deserves to be vibrant and to feel vibrantly alive, to be whole and empowered, especially when it comes to your health. So yeah, that's a little bit about, and none of this is medical advice. Again, this is all just stuff that we have learned over the years. This is what we practice in our own family. We encourage you to continue to learn, ask questions, and figure out what's going to be right for you. Okay. So
yeah, and some of these, I'm just going to read these off the slide here, and don't kill the messenger, but it's kind of just where we're at overall. Chronic disease affects 133 million Americans, nearly half of the population already. And what we're continuing to see over the past few years is it's not even just staying there, but it's growing and progressing, unfortunately, too. Mm-hmm. Obesity has doubled in adults, tripled in kids, and quadrupled in adolescents. They're often saying now that for the first time ever, this generation is actually the life expectancy to be lower than the generations prior. We've made all these advances, and maybe lifespan has increased, but oftentimes health span has decreased.
Right. And quality of life.
Right. Where we're, again, phenomenal advances, but we're lacking in general on some of the lifestyle things. Mm-hmm. And also there's this chronic habitual stress that we have there too. And what we've noticed, and just talking about like metabolic syndrome, or people that are really struggling with that, that's not always just obesity. There's a lot of things to that. But we're just seeing poorer health outcomes overall. When people have that metabolic syndrome, the body isn't doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's not responding to stress very well. And all of a sudden we have this disease, that disease. We want to move out of that metabolic syndrome stress and just be able to have more lifestyle choices and approaches to really see that improve. Cardiovascular disease, cancer, and diabetes now cause 70% of death here in America. And with that being said, we spend a lot of money on that too. Cost, I'm just gonna go right to the bottom here, and we'll come back to this in a second. Conditions like chronic disease, such as the cardiovascular disease, cancer, diabetes, count for nearly 1.1 or over $1.1 trillion of our economy. So we think about like where are we at, the debt overall that we have, and how can we help do that? Like, yes, that's where there's some self-responsibility as far as our own lifestyle. Not only pays off for us, but pays off for our country overall too. If people are living these vibrant lives and not bogged down by the stress of disease, sickness, and where we're at overall with that.
Yeah. And I think people being sick is not just a physical thing. It affects you in every realm, right? Like it affects you spiritually, mentally, emotionally, financially. So there's so much more to it when you don't take your health seriously, and when you don't actually invest in your health. Like you're going to invest and pay for it one way or the other, and it's either going to be on the front end or the back end. And again, it's going to affect other people as well, because we're all paying for the sickness of our country in this world.
And the couple of these stand out to me. I'm not going to read these word for word, but I think that really stick out to me personally are that second line there. Projected that chronic disease will affect an estimated 164 million Americans by 2025. It's nearly the end of 22. That's not very long away. That's half the population affected by chronic disease. And then with that being said, just seeing this with the younger generations and the sickness and the suffering, 17% of children and adolescents are obese and 32% overweight. That's not a call out. That's not saying, oh my gosh, it's someone's fault. It's just the reality of like where we're at. And a big part of what we're doing today is I think, and we'll get into this more later, but we tend to often just focus on like one thing, right? And even in the like natural or whatever word you want to say, they're more holistic word, alternative is if you have X thing, take X thing for it. We always are chasing that one specific thing. And in reality, it's this holistic view that we've just strayed so far from how we're designed to heal and to function that we have to really kind of have this like hit the brakes moment and figure out where we're at and be able to make these changes going forward rather than being bogged down by the general stress of that too, right? So we want to hit those brakes for people, get their body healing, and not have all that extra stress where they're at then too.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't know how to move that.
Again, just some sheer numbers on where we're at. And we see this all the time here in the office. Mm-hmm. Asthma affects 16.1 million kids. Diabetes, over 200,000 kids. Obesity, 14.4 million kids here in America. ADHD, we've seen these numbers just go through the roof too. 6.1 million kids. Depression, nearly 2 million kids suffering from depression. Anxiety, 4.4, and then malnutrition. Now, a quick caveat on malnutrition. I think here in America, and I've read this recently, I think it's just really poetic, unfortunately. And they're saying we typically are overfed and undernourished. Mm-hmm. Meaning that we don't have, there's not a lack of food around America. We have all these great resources for how to get food around and whatever else it is too. But the nutrition and the nourishment in our food is so decreased that we are just seeing this where we are constantly like eating more, and eating more. Right. The nutrition markers aren't where they need to be too. And that's in how our food is raised, was actually even in the soil, even before that, right? The processing that it gets to us, and is how many people like truly are eating whole and real foods. Right. We'll get into that more in a little bit here in a second, but I think as I think about that, like, yes, we think about malnutrition, like, you know, maybe more of a third world thing and stuff like that too. But so often people just aren't getting the real nutrition that they need, the nourishment that they need. And all of a sudden that wheel starts spinning and they can't even almost get out of that too.
And especially for kids, it's like they need that good nutrition for development, right? We have so many of these issues, or, you know, ADHD or focus or memory in school. And it's like, they're just, you know, there's a lot that can play a role in that. But if they're not getting proper nutrition either, their body isn't able to properly function, right? The communication in their body is not even where it needs to be. So it's not even,
It's a stressful world right now. and you're constantly in a state of stress as far as your own health,
Right.
it's tough to respond well to that. So with that being said, where are we at? Right. So we have, and this is kind of what we were hinting at too, but we have more poor nutrition, which probably is a double negative. I don't know if that makes sense, but we have higher poor nutrition around the country, right? And a lot more empty calories, meaning like the things that you buy in a bag that we're eating calories, we're not really getting nutrition from that. Very low amount of whole nutrition, nutrient-rich foods, just toxic environment all around. I think toxic, almost in a word, has gotten overstated. As far as like, oh, well, that's toxic, that's toxic. In reality, to me, it's the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, what's actually on our plate as far as our meals. What are we doing to be able to combat that? Again, we can't put bubble wrap around people and say, hey, this is all you ever need to do. But in reality is, how can you help your body be able to deal with the surroundings per se? More technology than ever. I always say technology is a great thing. We made some great advances with it, but I don't know that we were like designed to spend all of our day here or here, hunched over, constantly putting more strain on neck, upper back. And what we're seeing is what used to be a thing that, as far as the older generations, we're seeing now in teens, pre-teens, younger kids too, because there's just so much time on phones, tablets, computers. How can we reverse that, right? And then just how much time are we actually spending in nature and in an environment? How much time are we actually spending barefoot with our feet in the dirt? Not very often, right? So with that being said, if we wanted to decrease where we're at and then get better, it's literally inversing that. We want to have more whole nutrient-rich foods, decrease what we're surrounded as far as our toxic levels, and be able to just see those continue to improve. And not, like I said, we can't put bubble wrap around it, but what we can do is take our own measures personally to increase in movement and activity. Like we often ask, like, I get asked a lot, what's the best type of exercise? One is one that you can be consistent with. If you really struggle with CrossFit, or if you really struggle with yoga and you just don't like have that frame of mind for it, it's tough to have that consistency with it. Something we need to do. And honestly, I think we're designed to move more, going for walks, being outside, breathing fresh air, being like able to play with our kids and grandkids. Like that's what we are designed to do. And then everything from there is great. Working out is great, but we need to be able to move more throughout the day. Decrease our time on technology. Like we struggle with this as far as our toddler too. Like you kind of open up that door and then it's just so easy to have a little bit of time here and a little bit of time there, and all of a sudden that laps into more, and it's like, okay, where did this even start, right? So just, again, we're not perfect, we're not trying to say that we are, but like, where can we really start to see some of this get better? And I often say that, like, if we, turn the TV off or the phone off and we're outside, like everyone's in a better mood, right? Whether it be riding a scooter or playing basketball, whatever else it is, like that's fun versus just, oh my gosh, like we're watching TV or phone, whatever else it is too. I think this is
and just to like piggyback off of that, like this is not a call out, but I think it's just a really good reminder for parents. Like we're in the same boat as you guys as young families, and grandparents or whatever. It's like they're always watching, right? And so I stayed home with our son for the first 2.5 years, and then when we opened the business, I went back. So just this last year, just less than a year, I went back to work, and it was like almost night and day difference. Like prior to opening our business and me being at home with him, I feel like our son didn't even know what a phone or a tablet or a TV was, like he watched it so minimally, and he was, I had time to be so engaged with him. And I don't mean I'm not anymore, but it was like he could sense the shift, right? He could sense that my attention was now getting pulled in different directions. And so I just love this illustration and this, saying, so to speak. But parents try to teach values in conversation, but children learn more by observation. No matter what we say, children discover what matters to us by watching what we do. Where we focus tells them what we prize. A key to being a good role model is paying attention to your attention. So I just think that's so powerful. And this illustration, especially because it's like, how do you get your kids to read books? How do you get them to eat healthy? How do you get them to be active? It's like, they're watching you, right? Like they're doing the things that you do. And like how you react, how you behave, what you say, what you do matters. And again, it's not a call out. Like this, we're 100% in this boat too, as parents. Like,
and it's like and all it takes is you get that one quick email
Right.
and you want to respond to, because like as business owners too, like we get an email on something or something that we feel like we want to get done or whatever else is, and now like all of a sudden you're on your phone for however many minutes and you
Right.
look up and you're like, oh, what am I even doing? This is time that we should be devoting to him.
Right.
So just constantly like it's something that we're working on,
Yeah.
just to be
And
as present as possible.
Yeah. And just the awareness, I think, is big. And that's why, like, when we have time with him, we try and dedicate, okay, phones aside, we're going outside because it's so much easier than to be able to focus and do things together as a family.
And it's
So,
just more fun too. Like
yeah.
you look back and like that's what you remember
Right.
versus like that one thing for work that came up or whatever else it was.
Right.
So again, bringing this all together today, we're gonna talk a lot about foundational things. And the thing that I love about the 5 essentials is that yeah, you can spend a lot of money, time, effort, everything else on trying to biohack your way into better health. But in reality, if you do these foundational things really well, the things from there they help.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to do the foundations first before we go into the higher level conversation almost, right?
So this is just like such a great foundation for a wellness lifestyle. And you can incorporate it when your kids or, just married or small kids, like you can start to incorporate this so easily to truly set yourself up for success and your kids up for success.
So as you talk about mindset, like your mindset matters, your mentality matters. What are you thinking? Your body responds to that so much. There's this huge brain body connection. And if we constantly have stress here, what's going on? Like how else are we going to respond but stressful down in the rest of our body too, right? Talking about chiropractic, like why chiropractic matters as far as overall healthy lifestyle. And I won't dig in too much right now, but it's just we see it time and time again. People responding so much better as we're moving from that that fight or flight stage, the stressful stage, to more of the rest and digest. Like how are we allowing our body to calm down to stress? And chiropractic plays a huge part of that. We say the word intentional nutrition, right? It's things that what can we do as far as our own lifestyle, making these healthy habits and going forward. You don't have to be perfect about it. That's not what we're trying to say, but just how can we have this foundational solid nutrition? People say 80-20, 90-10, like where are our roots in it? And then from there we can figure out more. And then movement. I said this time earlier, like I think we were designed to move more. Yes, exercise in general, but just walks, being outside. Keeping it simple is a really good start for it. Nothing against joining a gym. Gyms are great. Like go out and move with that too. But there's something to us just like, okay, I'm going to create a lifestyle choice of moving more. And then overall, again, I talked about this earlier, but like, what are we exposing as far as what do we breathe? What's in our water? What are we having on our dinner or lunch table, so to speak? And how can we really start to make some simple choices for that too? I actually got this question recently about like, how do you like compare and contrast chiropractic with holistic life?
Yeah.
And I thought holistic health. And I thought it was actually a really good question, a good pointing question on like what do people perceive as chiropractic? And I think that when we're talking about holistic or holism, it's that it's all connected. Mm-hmm. And I think if we said, oh, okay, if you were seeking chiropractic care only for neck pain, and you start to see, oh my gosh, I just feel like I have less stress, I'm breathing better. Those are the type of things that people see all the time here in our office. And so when I think about it, it's all interconnected. And that's what I think about holistic too, right? Like everything plays a part. We so often want to just say, hey, this one organ has disease, or this one body part isn't functioning as well, or whatever else it is. In reality, it's like we see time and time again that it's all one big kinetic chain. And if something's off, so to speak, it can play a part in other things as well too. So our goal with the essentials and bringing this all together is really creating a holistic lifestyle overall too.
Right. That's the part of the 5 essentials I think is so cool, is because you're taking into account what the body actually needs on multiple different levels, right? Like it's not just a one-stop shop. It's like you need all of these things to truly create harmony in your body, mind,
all
body,
pieces
and spirit.
To the puzzle.
Yeah. So with that said, again, we could go into like 3-hour webinar on each of the 5 essentials, but we want to make sure that you can walk away with some tangible solutions. And so we're going to go through some brief examples of what you can do for yourself or your family as far as, oh, sorry, I don't know where to go with this. As far as, things that you can do in your home in each of these 5 essentials, especially with children. So number one, again, it starts with mindset. Like mindset is so important. Everything starts with it, right? Like my favorite quote as far as mindset goes is whether you believe it or no, I'm sorry, whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. Right? Like it's like if you say over and over and over in your head, like, oh, I'm just so unhealthy, like I'm never gonna get healthy, I'm not made for this, like I can't do it, it's too hard, like you're gonna do those things. You're manifesting it, right? So it's so important, especially as parents, and our role as parents, to truly teach our kids how important health is. It has to start with the mindset, right? Like, so one of our some of our favorite things to do is positive affirmations. I think it's really powerful to be able to like wake up in the morning and in the mirror have like 2 or 3 affirmations that you can say with your kids, right? Like not only do they see you doing it, right? Because again, they're always watching, they're always observing, but watching them see their parents doing it, and then them doing it as well. Like I am loved. I am created for amazing things. Like I'm strong. I eat healthy food because it makes me strong. You know, things like that. Like it's just so powerful. Another option for positive affirmations is on YouTube. There's videos too that in the mornings, sometimes when I am getting ready, we just have it on in the background. So it's constantly filling the air. It's constantly filling our minds with positive things. So you go into the day believing better things about yourself and about your capabilities, right?
I just think
Prayer.
about too, like, and again, going back to like kids respond to your actions or your thoughts and even like your body language so much too. It's like, I feel like we can set the example for him.
Mhm.
And if we're constantly bogged down by stress, then he's going to respond to that soon. If we're like, hey, today's gonna be a great day. And I'm just like, I feel like I'm constantly saying that. But that's where like, I want him to feel that.
Mhm.
And just like constantly cheering that up versus being like, oh my gosh, it's so stressful. And then he feels that too. Right.
Right. So prayer, I mean, we are a Christian household. I think prayer is so powerful. Meditation, yoga, or other good ways. I think the silence of prayer, meditation, yoga is a great way to just like declutter our life is always so chaotic. We're so distracted. So some of those practices are really great to just like get familiar with the silence, right? Get familiar with yourself and what your body is actually telling you. Gratitude is really, really powerful as well. Whether you start it, I love in the morning and at night, especially as our family, we always do prayers at night. And it's always one of our things, well, at the dinner table as well, but especially at night, just saying at least one thing that we're grateful for. Like, thank you, God, for what? There's always things to be grateful for and to be thanking each other for or God for, right? Lunch notes, love notes are a great way to just, especially in the middle of the day, to just like almost change that person's mindset. So whether it's your spouse or your children in their lunches, again, they could have a rough morning, and just seeing that note will just like change their mindset immediately. Like you are loved, like mom's thinking of you. And then dinner table. I think this is important. I know it's interesting for like mindset, but I think it's a great way to just recap the family and to turn the TVs off, put the phones aside, and like there's power in sitting down at the family table.
Yeah.
Right. And just
Yeah.
like recapping each other's day. How are
Isaiah
you? How
loves,
did you
I
respond?
love, our son loves to say, hey, how was your day? And I think
Yeah.
it's just fun to like feel like he's a part of our conversation.
Right.
Versus like we're talking and he's over there. Like he loves to like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a
Like
good
he's
question.
caught on to that. 'Cause it's like, how was your day? And his response then back is, how was your day? Which I think
Yeah.
is just great for a family to be able to help each other through their days, even if you have a rough day or if you had a great
Yeah.
day. Okay, so nutrition. We're gonna go through some easy nutrition tips and swaps in just a minute, but nutrition, we have to remember is it is, sorry, one second. Am I on the right one? Yeah. It is, food is meant to be fuel, right? Like so often we just want it to be easy and cheap and quick and whatever. It's like we have to remember that fuel communicates so much for our body. We need good nutrition to help ourselves sustain through the day, through the weeks, through the months. And so, as far as nutrition and children and just families, I think making food fun is a great way to keep kids engaged. Talk to kids about nutrition, right? Like have them help in the kitchen, tell them what the food is actually doing for their bodies. So often we talk about, meats or fruits and vegetables and what that's actually doing for our son's body. And so he'll show us his muscles. Like after he eats, a piece of meat or something like that, he's like, oh, look, do you want to see my muscles? I'm so strong. So just telling them what that food is actually doing for their body is super important. So again, make food fun, make smiley faces out of yogurt and fruit, make different shapes of animals or whatever out of pancakes. Make fruit kebabs, have them again stir in the kitchen, help pour things in. The more engaged they are in the kitchen, this is one thing that we do more now, and I wish I had done it when he was really little. But just having him help more because they're more engaged and excited about what they just made, and so they're excited to try it as well. And then of course, just a staple is eat a variety of things, especially when it comes to fruit and vegetables. Like get them exposed to more colors, eat the rainbow, like more fruits and vegetables to just create a better palate, right? Movement, like he was saying, I think movement is one of those things, especially in the 5 essentials. It's the even for me, I struggle with it because it's one of those that like the 5 essentials are not just good ideas or suggestions. Like they're essential because our body actually genetically needs them, right? We need movement, we need nutrition, we need a good mindset. We need, less toxins and chiropractic, things like that. Like they're essential for our body, but so often we want to pick and choose which ones we do. And movement, I think, has, like, we think of exercise like you have to go to the gym 2 hours or you have to run 5 miles a day. I don't think, especially as a family, that that's realistic and that's not even natural. Like to me, it's like we just need to be more active. You don't have to spend 2 hours at the gym. Instead, just go outside and play with your kids, play tag, play soccer, basketball, race each other down the street. Like it can be simple and do things that you enjoy, and just be creative. Like if you're playing a board game, even like, hey, whoever wins or whoever loses has to run around the house as fast as they can. Like it just, again, it creates more engagement in as a family. And then again, you're creating more movement in your household too. And then lastly, of course, you want your kids to actually see you move. Set that example again. So if you are dragging your feet all the time, they're going to sense that, they're going to see that, and they're going to grow up dreading it as well. Right. And so again, just keep it easy, keep it simple, but just move your body. It's like less TV, less technology, and just like go for a family walk at night. Create that routine. All right. What else we got? So toxins. I think toxins play a really big role in our health. I think I want to reiterate that our bodies are truly capable of eliminating toxins, right? And getting rid of them. I think the problem though is that we have been bombarded with them so much over the last decade, 2 decades, for sure 50 years, right? Like it's just like we have increased them in our environment, in the products we use, in the food that we consume. And so our body is starting to not be able to handle as much, right? I think the really cool thing is, like I said, our body is equipped for it. Like especially our body, the way that you're exposed matters. So if you're taking it in like orally, the body has a process to go through, and it goes through the liver, which is an exquisite filter that is able to eliminate those toxins. But if you're taking it in, like if you're breathing it in or you're rubbing it all over your skin with your cosmetics, your personal care products, the unfortunate part is that when you do that with certain toxins and chemicals, you're bypassing that liver, right? So it takes a different turn in the body because it's not going in the way that it was supposed to. When you're putting on lotion that's lathered with all sorts of chemicals and natural fragrances and stuff like that, our skin is our largest organ, so it's immediately absorbing into our skin, into our bloodstream. And then the body, as a defense mechanism, will then, instead of, like, it can't go through the liver because it's already bypassed that. So what it does is it sees it as a threat, and then it encapsulates it in a fat cell, and then it stores it away, right? So it's protecting it from the vital organs by encapsulating it and storing it away. And then oftentimes what we see is when people are sick, or if they resist weight loss or plateau, oftentimes it becomes a toxicity issue because the body, again, that's a defense mechanism. It's trying to protect itself from that toxin. And so when you find that, or if that's you or whatever, oftentimes it becomes where you need to do some sort of detox to actually bind to those toxins to release them properly. So just think of your body in this realm as a bucket, right? Like you have a bucket and there's holes in the bottom. And so as you fill it with toxins, the body is able to filter through, but how fast are you filling that bucket? If you're filling it faster than the body is able to process through them, that's when you're going to start to see symptoms. That's when you're going to start developing disease and your body's going to start screaming, right? And so some really good tips is just making sure that you are aware of your detox process or pathways, right? Like sweating every day. That's a good thing. That's a way for our body to detox. So movement and exercise is really great for detoxing. A sauna is always good. Eating certain foods is really great for detoxing. The lymph, what's that called? The brush that we have. That helps with drainage, like lymph drainage and stuff like that, to actually release some of the toxins. So there are multiple ways that you can support your body in this process. But again, you want to be aware of how you're being exposed to. So read labels and ingredients, not only in your food in your pantry, but in your household items, your personal care products. In our household, we use a lot of doTERRA products for our household and personal care products. For cosmetics for women is a huge one. There's so much that they are adding that is like crazy, actually. So if you really look into it, it's scary what they're adding to our cosmetics. But two really good options is Crunchy and Beauty Counter. And I see that there's a typo, but it's Beauty Counter. So those are two really good options for not only personal care products, but cosmetics for women. And then food swaps, we're going to go through in just a minute. And then here is, I'm going to come back to this, but this toxic ingredient list is a really good something to hold in your back pocket. Yeah, I'll make this. Or to have with you. You can text our number 515-895-1400. If you text that number, toxic, we'll send you this so you can always start looking through your food and beverage items. This is just a small list. There are many to look out for, but this is a really good starting point to just be aware of what you might have in your home or in your food or in your products, like I said. So yeah, if you want this, text our number toxic and we'll send that to you so you can have that to start looking through your products. And then chiropractic, Drew's going to go through in just a minute, but this is an essential because again, chiropractic is not about neck and back pain. In the reality, it's about how well your body is functioning and healing, right? And you want it to be functioning and healing at a high level at all times. So you're more adapted. Your adaptability is increased when that stress comes, right? Whether that stress is physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, you are more adaptable. Did I say this word right?
Yeah.
Adaptable to that stress, and your body is able to handle it better and brings it back closer to homeostasis. So, okay.
Yeah, and so as a mentor said, and I think about it all the time, and it's quite simple. He said, it's all about the brain. It's all about sending the proper signal back to the brain, allowing the body to get more into that rest and digest stage, and not constantly have this stress bearing down on our body. And so Dr. Mo, she is a chiropractor and a neuroscientist. She went to school for a long time to be able to get to this point, which is a great lecture just all about like neurology and the brain and how it's all connected within chiropractic. And I thought this was just really eloquent and really simple. And her quote was basically, as you adjust the spine, you positively adapt the brain. As you adapt the brain, the body can change, the body can heal, the body can do exactly what it's supposed to be doing. So if we can boil everything into what you're doing, why do you continue to get adjusted? Why regular chiropractic care? If we think about it more like I'm actually improving my neurology, how well my brain connects to the rest of my body, that's really powerful. Not just continuing to chase symptoms. Like, oh, I am actually like taking care of my spine. I'm doing my exercises. I'm taking care of my adjustments, whatever you want to say with that, to actually improve how well my brain connects to the rest of my body. Not simply say, I have pain, go get adjusted. That's really powerful as far as the actual paradigm shifts and how people actually seek chiropractic care too. And talk about the perfect storm. This is from Dr. Tony Ebel. He does a whole entire coaching class within this too. And I won't get into it too much, basically just saying that like so much of what we see as far as pediatric chiropractic actually starts with birth trauma. That's one of the first things that we start with. And kids nowadays, there's just so many interventions that go along with birth. Birth is an amazingly miraculous thing, and they've gotten to be really, we're really good at it, but also too, like we have a lot of, for lack of better words, issues that can come from the birth process too.
They treat it more like a medical condition versus a natural process.
Right.
Like our bodies are created to give birth. They're created to create a human being. And now they're turning it into, you have like a condition and we're going to treat the condition.
Right. And so why do kids get adjusted? Again, it's all about the brain. I'm gonna go back to that all the time. Like we're trying to reconnect the brain and the body, give them positive stimulus in a world of so much stress for them, be able to see their body adapt well and not carry those same stressors throughout their entire life. Right. And I know that probably sounds, maybe it's too simple, but that's what it should really boil down to.
Okay, so nutritional tips. So this is just general nutrition tips. Again, we could spend like 3 hours just on nutrition, but we want to give you some takeaways. So For your family, eat whole foods, right? Real whole foods, and decrease the box processed foods. A good rule of thumb when you're shopping the store, shop the perimeter, so the outside of the store. You're gonna find more of your fresh produce, your fruits, your vegetables, your meats, your dairies. That is where you're gonna get nutrient dense foods. Versus in the aisles, you're getting more box processed foods, more preservatives, more refined sugars. So reduce refined sugars. Again, if you're reducing your box foods, you're gonna get rid of a lot of there too, or a lot of sugars there. You want most of your carbs and sugars to come from natural sources, so fruits, vegetables, honey, maple syrup. That's where most of your carbs and your sugars should be coming from. What we usually tell our patients too is change your animal products first. That's where you're going to go get the most bang for your buck, right? And then the most health benefits from eating good quality animal products. So your grass-fed meats. Unfortunately, you want to look for 100% grass-finished grass-fed, grass-finished. And then your like poultry items, you want to be free range, pasture raised. So your chicken, your eggs, again, your dairy products in general, you want to be grass-fed as well. So that's where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. So change those first. You're going to see and reap the health benefits when you change those products first. Meal plan and prep for the week. This has helped us a lot. We can tell the weeks that we don't do this. It's way more chaotic. When you meal plan and meal prep, you eliminate a lot of the stress. When you go to school and go to work all day or whatever, and then come home and have to like scramble to get a meal ready, it's way more stressful, right? So it eliminates stress and bad choices. Crock pot meals have been wonderful, especially with the fall now. It's just an easy way to come home and enjoy that time as a family versus mom or dad having to stress about trying to get that meal ready. So crock pot meals are a wonderful idea. 80-20 rule. My son and I definitely use the 80-20 rule. So 80% of the time we are really focused and conscious of what we're eating and what we're consuming. And this applies to all of the essentials really. But the 80-20 rule, 80% we're more aware and we're doing the things that we know will serve our body well. The other 20% is like we can still go out to eat, or we can have fun, or we can have the dessert, or we can go out for ice cream, things like that again are fun to do, but you don't have to feel guilty about it, right? Like it's just like sometimes that guilt or that stress of feeling like you're not perfect is oftentimes worse on the body. And so I think the 80-20 rule is just a really good way to practice a wellness based lifestyle. Drew, his history, he leads more of like a 90-10. He's a little more strict than us, but again, that is, you can determine what that looks like in your life. But we love the 80-20 rule as far as my son and I. And then keep it simple. So don't overcomplicate it, right? Nutrition is, again, food is supposed to be fuel. And you are what you eat. Don't be fast, cheap, and easy, right? Is that what they say? Right? So just keep it simple. Eat food that you know is going to serve your body well. So some easy swaps. These are just brands to look out for. Sorry. This is Force of Nature. So over here is Force of Nature. This is meat products. And I would say in the Des Moines area, you can find them at natural grocers, but otherwise in Whole Foods. But there are definitely other options. We love them only because they include organ meat, which is also super beneficial for your overall health. And so we do love them because they include liver, heart, kidney, things like that. And it's already in there. And I know that sounds a little crazy if you haven't heard of that yet. But there are huge benefits to really well-raised animals and their organs. And so they do a really great job. We encourage you to look up their website and just start learning about how they raise animals and the impact that it has not only on our health, but on our environment and our ecosystem. So they're a great option. You can order to ship to your house as well. And then Siete is another great brand for just things around the, food to have around the house, like extra things like chips, dips, sauces, cookies, little taco mixes. They're just wonderful. And they're a really good brand to be looking out for. They're almost in every store, I feel like now too, which is awesome.
We like them simply because of the oils that they use. keep it simple with avocado oil. They don't have all the extra oils that are made in
Mhm.
labs and factories, and they just get like they care a lot about that. So it's nice to know as a brand recognition, like, okay, I
Mhm.
have more faith in that versus some other brands.
Right. Okay, and then Primal Kitchen is another good brand. Some of their items we still use. We don't use a lot of dressings and marinades and things like that. We kind of keep it simple, but this is a brand that you can look out for that has eliminated a lot of the extra stuff that you're going to find in your conventional type brand, so to speak. So this is a good brand, and I think they're at like Hy-Vee, Walmart has some of your stores that you're going to find around town. Kelowna, this is, unless you know a farmer and can get like fresh dairy products, I would say this is the next best option that is in stores that you can buy conveniently. They are a little bit more expensive, but again, you're paying for quality,
Yeah, and
right?
it's
Like,
local here to Iowa, and
and
they do a great job at their processing, and that quality matters.
right. So they have all sorts of dairy products, and yeah, you're gonna have the cream on top, and that's normal. That's what it should look like,
Yeah.
right? Some other, oops, sorry. Lesser Evil is a brand to look out for. They have a lot of snack items, so we pack our son's lunch and snacks for school. So we do use their items quite a bit for school and at home snacks. And then Vital Farms is usually they're a great option for poultry items, specifically eggs is what we get from them. So just some actual tangible things that you can see. Instead of this, try this. So instead of Slim Jim, we typically go to Costco and get these little Archer mini beef sticks. Isaiah loves them. Again, he eats a lot of these for even snacks, but specifically his lunch. We'll throw in a couple of those for his lunch. They're grass fed and they only have a couple seasonings. There's nothing else added. There's not even sugar added. So they're a great option for getting some protein in throughout the day. For chip items, so not only Doritos, but just all of your chips. Siete is one of those options that is just a staple in our home. They have all sorts of different flavors. They just have, sea salt tortilla chips, but they also have a sweet one. They also have potato chips now with all sorts of different flavors. And again, they keep the ingredients very simple and clean. For cereals, so instead of your classic like Honey Nut O or Honey Nut Cheerios or Captain Crunch or Lucky Charms, they are loaded. It is like your kid is just eating sugar right before they go to school, right? And then we wonder why they're bouncing off the walls or can't focus or whatever. There's so many things in those cereal boxes that is just like unnecessary, right? And more harmful than good. So so use the We Like Farmers We Know. They have a couple different cereals that we typically like. We're not a big cereal family, but our son, it is nice every once in a while to have a bowl of cereal for him. So we do use Farmers We Know. Every once in a while, we'll get the Cascadian Farms, which is an organic brand, but they still have a couple items in there that I'm not a huge fan of. But again, it's a better option than what you're going to find on the typical stores for cereal or typical cereals. For yogurt, we love, so yogurts are full of all sorts of junk as well. Especially not only is it dairy that's, not serving, it's not good dairy. It's not properly raised dairy. So you're not getting the nutrient dense that you would be from grass fed cows, but it's loaded full of sugar as well. And
Well, and the other thing too is just that like rarely do they actually like is it just the fruit? Like it's
right,
oftentimes fruit syrup and sugar added to it too. So let's say that like you still want to have some berries in your yogurt, much
Mhm.
healthier option is to get like the plain organic
Yeah.
grass fed over and then yogurt and then add your own berries or
Yeah.
bananas or whatever you want to say to it versus buying it already pre-made with that in it.
Right. So we love this brand, Nor Organic. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Nor Organic. But it's really creamy and it's just plain. We add a little bit of honey or some frozen berries to it, and it's really good. Crackers, a good option for that is the Simple Mills brand. They do have different flavors, including like cheese crackers. So you can kind of use those for like Cheez-Its or things like that. Popcorn, again, the Lesser Evil brand. They have big bags and little snack size bags. Really great non-GMO. They use coconut oil or avocado oil, sea salt, and then if there's a sweeter one, they use just organic cane sugar or something like that. Some other options for some sweeter things. So candy.
Those are switched.
Oh, those are
but yeah.
switched. Sorry. But yes, so definitely don't eat Skittles. So that's switched. The Yum Earth is a better option. I do want to be clear, it is still sugar, right? It's still made with organic sugar. But what it does is eliminates a lot of the food dyes and colorings and preservatives and just like extra chemicals that they add in to make these candy or these candy items really extra addictive, right? So what we do is, especially in like holidays like Halloween or something like that, we would go trick-or-treating, but we would kind of swap out and he can have like an extra couple food or candy items from the Yum Earth instead, and then we kind of just toss the other candy. So that's an option. Instead of things like Cheeto, the Pickcorn is a great option. They have cheese balls and it's made with better ingredients, of course, very simple, better stuff. They might have an oil that's, I forget what oil they use.
Yeah.
But that might be the only thing that's like a little bit questionable, but I think it might be like sunflower, might be, I don't know. I'd have to look again, but things like Gatorade, is again loaded with sugar. So better option when you have kids in sports and need to like get electrolytes and things like that. You can use something like this Harmful Harvest, which is coconut water. You can even add that with a little bit of water or a splash of orange juice or something like that. Some people don't like just the flavor of coconut water. So I would just suggest using like diluting it almost, put like half water, half coconut water, and a splash of like orange juice. That's always, I mean, that's Isaiah will love that too. So some other options, anything with like Hostess, like any sort of like cupcake brownie type items. Simple Mills also has some really good recipe or boxes of brownies or muffin mixes, things like that. Instead of fruit snacks, go with the Solis. Did I say that right? Soli?
Two L's solely.
That is another hit in our home. So this is loaded full of stuff that again kids should not be having access to. But this is very simple. All it is mango, but it gives them that sensation. And then chocolate, we love the Hu chocolate. And that is made simply very simple ingredients, and it's made with cacao, sea salts, organic coconut sugar, and I think that's it. A little bit of vanilla.
Yeah.
So it's very simple ingredients, and that is something that our body then can recognize and actually digest.
As we move out of nutrition, per se, this is just more of a mentality thing on how do we view our health and our symptoms, so to speak. And I tell people all the time, or I think about this all the time when people come in and they tell me like, oh, hey, dealing with this pain, dealing with this, whatever it might be. And so often I'm already like seeing them down the road, healthier, not bogged down by that stress, but that's a pain overwhelms your brain, right? And so you almost can't think, you can't see the forest through the trees. I'll say that right. Anyway, and I think the same thing goes as far as when our kids are sick or when we're sick, it's actually like, oh my gosh, like this stinks, like how are we going to go throughout our day, whatever else it is too. And we want to think about like that's literally giving your body a software update, and it's priming you for things to come. Mm-hmm. Priming you for more sickness, more bacteria, more viruses, like they're all around us. And so if we actually have that mentality, okay, I'm grateful that we're going to have this to be able to set us up going forward versus like, I'm just going to live my life in this bubble and hopefully nothing ever comes. Like that's a tough way to go about life. Mm-hmm. And so if we can actually say, hey, we're taking this, we're changing our mentality and saying like, I'm grateful that I was sick, or I'm grateful that I've actually like got my body better through this, versus like, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing. And what we've done is I think we've taken like common things, the flu or a cold, whatever else it is, and put them all as disease states, saying that this is like, you're going to have this forever, or have that mentality. Oh my gosh, this is like, what if your body's actually capable of doing something, capable of healing, and rather than being like, unable to fight that off, right? So believe in your own body, believe in your body's ability to be able to heal, and
I think for kids, especially as parents, like it's never fun, right? Yeah. Like, again, we're in the same boat as you guys. It's not always fun and enjoyable to have a sick kiddo at home.
Your heart hurts when they're hurting too. Right. So it's just like,
but you have to wrap your mind around the fact that like they need those opportunities, they need those moments to build a robust immune system, right? It's that software update that again is going to set them up for success moving forward for bigger and badder things, right? Like cancer. And so you need to give them opportunity to actually fight through that and build that immune system. So some quick tips as far as common things that you're going to see in your home. Again, the common cold and flu. We'll go through this again, sorry. So some things that you can do with the common cold and flu, things to support the body. You want that body to allow the body to work through it, but you can support it in that process. So keeping hydrated, especially during a cold and a flu, just keep hydrated. Fluids are going to be really important. If your kid does not want to eat, that's okay, right? Don't push the food. More fluids is better. So other things that you can do depending on age, depending on how old your kids are, breast milk, like if you have a baby and that's still breastfeeding, or a toddler, of course, like breastfeed them as much as they want to. That is, your body is so intelligent. It's going to pick up the fact that they are under the weather. They are experiencing some sort of virus or bacteria, and it will actually give them what they need. Broth is a great option. That's so nutrient dense, and that's going to give them not only the fluids, but it's going to give them really good, what's the word I'm thinking? Sorry. It's going to give them really good defense, right? It's going to give them the nutrients they need to actually help ward off whatever they're fighting. Apple juice, again, that is sugar. So you want to try and keep sugars low, but if you're pushing fluids, what we typically do with any sort of juice in our home, we dilute it. We do half and half or something like that, just so it's not so much, sweetness and so much of the juice. And there's just half and half, but that might be a way to get them to drink more fluids. Coconut water, Spindrift, that's sparkling. It's just sparkling water and like lemon juice. That might, if someone's stomach is upset, that might help, the carbonation. That might be a better option. Rest and sleep. Make sure that they have time to actually just rest. That is when the body does the most healing. So just make sure you're giving them that time to just sleep if they need to. Reduce stimulus, less action, less noise, turn the TV down or off. Again, don't force them to go out and play with their friends. Like give them that time to just, reduce that stimulus. Reduce refined sugars. Sugars, again, are going to increase inflammation, and especially when the body is already trying to fight something off, you don't want to add more to it. So try and reduce as much refined sugars as possible. Taking a warm salt bath is a great option. That's one of the things that we did with Isaiah this morning, actually. He, of course, had an ear infection last night, and so this morning he was not wanting to take it last night. It was a battle, so it was like, okay, I'm just going to I'm going to follow your lead here, right? And so this morning he woke up a totally different kid, was super happy, back to his normal self, but we still implemented a warm bath this morning with salt and oil just to continue to support his body as it works through whatever he had. Using quality oils to diffuse throughout the home, use them topically, internally for adults only with a really good brand. So oils that we love to support the body during these times is On Guard, On Guard soft gel capsules, or soft gels, peppermint, especially when you're congested. We use peppermint not only to breathe in, like diffuse it or rub in your hands, but you can also, if your sinuses are really, aching, you can put them very, very little, and don't get it in the eye, but rub it on your sinuses, and that will help to kind of help drain it. Steam bowls, so whether it's a hot mug, or a pot, take a towel over your head and just breathe in that with some essential oils. Really helps to open the airways. Neti pot, I was not into this until about 2 years ago. And then it was a game changer. Like I thought it was the most disgusting thing previously, but you definitely need to try it if you've never tried it. When you're congested, it feels so wonderful to try and get some of that stuff out, and to help, reduce that congestion. Elderberry syrup is a wonderful way. You can do this both maintenance wise. So throughout the year, you can do it to continue to boost your immune system. But then when you are sick, you can take it more frequently over the course of your illness to really help ward off whatever you're fighting. And then get adjusted. We love being people's first call when they are under the weather, because that is a way to, again, boost your immune system. Research shows that it boosts your immune system by over 200% post adjustment, which is awesome. Like your body is then able to communicate and actually ward off what it's fighting, right? What's next?
Okay, so we talk about fever. I think we oftentimes overstate it in a way of the fear of what your body's doing. And I was listening to an MD talk on this yesterday. He was saying that, it's your body's inborn innate born response to try and fight off a bacteria or a virus, something like that. So again, reframing your mind to the fact that like your body's trying to do the right thing, and if we continue to suppress that fever, your body's never going to be able to fully get over that. And then we're constantly dealing with this throughout the season or the.
Sorry. Your body is doing the right thing. It's not trying. It's doing the right thing. It's always doing the right thing at the right time. So sorry.
Yeah. So no, we want to honor the body with that, and know, again, what Kelsey was just saying, like you utilize some of those tools to help your body fight that off. But again, your body's trying to raise its own temperature to fight off the bacteria or whatever has brought about these symptoms, and really trying to expel that too. So again, yes, there's safety precautions. There's too high and stuff like that, but like in general, like we've got such a fear-based thing around fever now that we don't actually allow our body to do the thing that it was innately designed to do, and we overstimulate it, and we don't allow the body to do this right thing. And all of a sudden, it's like, why do I keep doing this thing over and over and over again? Your body's trying to do the right thing. I want people to just believe in themselves. These are just some good tools to have in general for it. But again, it's like allowing your body to rest, do its right thing, and not try and overstate something that was designed for our body. We really like the like I said, lukewarm baths with salt, Melaleuca, which is a essential oil, lavender and peppermint, just things to like let your body calm down, do its thing, and be able to really be able to heal with that too. Some of the best supplements, and we see this all the time. We typically are deficient in zinc, vitamin A, C, and D, and then we have a great elderberry syrup from Holton Homestead. That one, it tastes good too, but two, actually is just overall helping your body to support those natural pathways, and do the right thing, right?
Colloidal silver too.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah, sorry. I guess so for ear infections, so a lot of this, like again, is piggybacking off of one. So it's just there, all of these tools you can use no matter what condition or whatever illness that you might have in your home. But ear infections, so 0 to 2 is where they typically are most prevalent, correct? It's 0 to 2. And then after 2, the anatomy of the ear starts to change, which is, when they're more horizontal, the ear canals, and then as they grow and as they develop, they start to come down vertically to a slant. So they're going to start to drain better. And that is not like God did not make our bodies in like he designed us so well. They were designed that way on purpose, obviously. He didn't forget to put tubes in or anything like that. But again, it doesn't make it any more fun when they do happen. A lot of times when you're congested or when you sneeze or you cough, sometimes that mucus or that bacteria gets pushed back into those canals and it starts to fester. Okay, so things that you can do to support that and help them through that: chiropractic care, number one, like get to your chiropractor right away, right? That is going to again relieve and help to drain the ear canals. So obviously Isaiah got adjusted. Colloidal silver, that's another option. We put it in his mouth. We put a couple of drops under his tongue or in his water. You can also put a couple drops on a cotton ball and put it into the ear canal. Some other options is oils. These are some of the best oils for ear support in general. So basil, melaleuca, lavender. I would add even frankincense to that too, but never put it in the ear. But you can rub it with some carrier oil like coconut oil or a lotion, a very simple lotion. You could do avocado oil, something like that. Just rub it all around the ear and kind of pull it down to help with the drainage. So we used basil last night. We were diffusing basil and rubbed it around his ear last night. And then you can also use a heating pad. We don't have a heating pad, but we made a rice sock. So that's another option just because heat will help to relieve that and help with the drainage as well. And then garlic oil is another thing that we did last night as well. So garlic oil, this is the brand that we have. Especially depending on how old your kid is, it sometimes can be a struggle to do even some of these things because they're so irritable and they're so uncomfortable. So what I did is when he finally fell asleep, And when he turned with the ear that was bothering him, when he turned, I had my garlic oil ready and I just dropped a few drops, 2 drops into his ear and let it drain in. He did kind of feel it and rub it. He didn't wake up, but again, it was able to drain in there and help with that as well. So those are some really good options as far as ear infection support. And like I said, we implemented all of these last night and this morning, and he's back at school. So yeah, those are just some good, simple things that you can take here and start implementing in your home now to support the body.
As we talk about overall, like the garlic oil thing, like there's the acute window that we might use things like that. I just want to go over something that just cover more of our bases for, especially this is catered more to kids here today. But just cover our bases throughout the year. And there's a difference between like the more like I just want to have this maintenance versus okay, we have a cough or an ear infection or congestion. That's a different conversation. But this is something we just want to go over quickly, and something we say all the time is you can't out supplement a bad diet, right? Like if we spend all this money on these special supplements, stuff like that, but we're never actually getting nutrition through our diet, that's a tough way to go about it. So we always meet people first, like how are you doing with your nutrition? How's your family's nutrition? And then talking about, okay, so here's what something we can add to it rather than like, oh my gosh, we got to do all these different things. One of my favorite things that we carry, and most of these we carry here in the office, but one of my favorite things is here in the middle of this Ion Gut Support. Ion does gut support, sinus, nasal support, skin support too, basically trying to reestablish those healthy pathways for us. And I like because it's super simple. And the way that they describe it is actually saying that it's just trying to, you think about like soil, right? Your probiotic is more like adding extra seed to the soil. Gut support is actually helping the to replenish the soil, bind and have better junctions between our gut, the cells of our gut, the cells of our mucus and here in our nasal system and even throughout our skin too. So it's really simple, healthy for all ages, and really helps to get more of that binding that we've lost because we don't have much of, like, we don't spend a lot of our day like walking with our bare feet in the soil or eating things right out of the soil. Like that's not how we live anymore. So this is really, really healthy. And I love just how simple it is. Really good ingredients and keep that there. But then again, here in the office,
it's not like your quick fix,
right?
None of these will be quick fixes. It's more of like the long term.
We're planting down that healthy soil both now and going forward.
Right.
And then a couple of these two, just Isaiah actually like loves this doTERRA chewable supplement. It's just something that we have that we just know, hey, we're hitting all the vitamins, hitting all our nutrients, along with a really healthy diet. We also carry another multivitamin here in the office, and then we do carry probiotic too. Because again, if we're laying down and having healthier soil, we want to have the planting healthier seeds then too, along with that.
Okay, we went way over as we normally do. But just a reminder, we are still doing our back to school, back to health special. So for any of our patients, if you have family, friends, coworkers, whoever you know, if they are needing to get checked out, if they are experiencing different health issues, we would love to chat with them and love to be able to help them. So we're doing a special, the consultation, exam, x-rays, and the first adjustment is included in that $95, which is typically the $170. So again, if you know anyone that needs to get in, that needs to get back to their health, we're here for them. Any questions that you have throughout this webinar or moving forward, text us at 515-895-1400. And we'd be happy. We would love to call, text, make sure that you get that question answered. Is this you?
Okay. So with that being said, we just want to continue to honor our practice members, people that are tuning in, is leveling up their health, right? We always have the foundation with chiropractic. That's what we do initially or first or whatever, but we also want to say, hey, here's what you can do to continue to level up your health, see your health improve. So our mystery word today is family. Do you mind explaining what that goes towards?
So again, we have a dozen people that need to watch this on the recording. So we wanted you to have the opportunity to still, if you tell us what the mystery word is, then you get $10 Revival Cash for whatever supplement or product that you might want. So that can go towards the multivitamin or the gut support or whatever you might want to support your family. You'll get $10 Revival Cash. So just tell us when you come into the office next, call us, text us. If you're out of the area, again, you can still use that $10, but
text right to that same number too. Text family. It's just, again, we just want to honor the people that are making these healthy strides for their health, their family's health, both now and to come. And thank you for tuning into this. This is fun for us to do too. nice to like
Sorry,
reading
it's
back in.
over.
But yeah, it's just fun to be able to connect with people, share some of our insights, and know again we're not perfect, but we're just trying to make those healthy choices for ourselves and for our family then too.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Bye. Oh, now it's not working. I'm really stopping.